Welcome back to Version 2 Garage. I'm Travis, and today's episode, I'm going to solve a problem in my workplace, which means I can't take a camera along. No videoing in the office. I will put some pictures here. Because we're a growing team, we had to separate that space, and we turned one half of it into an office by building a wall and left the other space as a break room, which left the table that we had for a break table a little lacking in the space. So today I aim to fix that. Problem is the table doesn't fit the space. It's awkward. It's hard to clean around. And I want to make it a little nicer, and I want employees to have a place where they can go and take a break and get away. And this is a shared space, so we want it to look nice as well. So again, with the goal of being functional as well as purposeful, let's do this. Just disclaimer, I am not approaching this as a tutorial. I'm still learning a lot of this myself, but I will call out some of the decisions I'm making as I go. So in Fusion, this is an unsaved file. I'm gonna go up here to start a sketch, and I'm gonna select my plane here, and then I don't know why this turns upside down, but I'm gonna turn it the right way up because that's the way I like it. So I can see how I'm working. Now I'm gonna hit L on the keyboard for line, and I'm gonna draw my basic shape. I'm not worried about the dimensions right now. So we'll come out, come up. If you select an origin point like that, it'll give you your line there, so it can go ahead and be locked in. I'm going to try to keep this where we can see it. Right, so now I'm going to hit D on the keyboard for dimensions. I want the backside to be 12 inches high. And yes, I do work in inches. We'll go ahead and cover that real quick. 12 inches high. And I want the top, which here is the bottom, because I want this to be my XY0 origin on the machine. If I still got deselected, you can see on my cursor there. And I want this to be 23.5 inches. And we're going to be adding a piece to the back of this that's going to get glued and screwed to it that will give us 1/4 of an inch more. It'll be a 2-inch by 12-inch piece of plywood that's got a rabbet cut into it that will be glued here so we can mount this to the wall. So that extra 1/4 inch will make this 23 3/4, giving us therefore 1/4 of an inch gap between this lip and the front. I want this to be 3/4 of an inch, so 0.75, because that is also how far the lip comes down approximately. And then I want this to be 0.5. Again, 0.5 plus the 1/4 that's going to get added to the back, give us about 3/4 of an inch there, so it would look the same. Now I'm going to come up and I'm going to hit offset, select any one of these lines, and you see it's pointing out, so I want to go negative there, minus 2 inches. I just want a 2-inch piece all the way around. This is just for looks, really, because some of this will be seen under the break table there. All right, finish sketch. Pick our design, E on the keyboard for extrude, and I want 0.701 because 701 is the thickest measurement I got on my digital calipers. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a couple there. I'm gonna say 705. So we'll get about 4/1000 of an inch through, so we'll slightly cut into our waste. Okay, now I'm gonna click my little home there to set my view. This is our basic body here that we've created. Now I'm gonna go up here where it says design and click that box, change to manufacturer. All right, now we're gonna go to setup. We're gonna create us a new setup. Select our machine. My machine is set up. Onefinity 35mm woodworker. Okay. Now we're going to go to our stock. We're going to select this and say add stock to all sides. And as I add 1/8 of an inch to the X minus, X positive, Y minus, and Y positive, you're going to see these perimeters grow. And by adding 1/8 of an inch, that's going to basically add 1/4 of an inch of stock in total. My actual stock width is 23 7/8. So if I do 0.125 on all of these, we won't exceed that. And it'll give our router something to clean up around it. So what you see there is it added all of this stock all the way around. We're going to go back here. We're going to select our stock point. Should have done that while we were here. I want that front corner there because that's going to be the front left-hand corner of the Onefinity CNC machine, and I want this to be my XYZ0. Click OK. Now, with setup selected, I'm going to go 2D contour. I'm going to select my tool. Under library, I want the one that I've got set up for plywood. It runs a little bit faster than the one for general. Should be all we need to do here. Just check our parameters, 18,000 RPMs, which is manually set at the machine, my machine. Cutting speed, and 100 inches a minute and 30 inches a minute plunges. So that's all good. Nothing to change in the axis. And under geometry, we're going to do our ID first. So select any one of these lines. And you see we got our arrow pointing counterclockwise, and that is correct for an ID cut there. And now we're going to add tabs. We want to add tabs by number of tabs, and we want 3 tabs. If we do 3 tabs, it should put 1 on each of our sides, which is all we need. Now let's go to height, and under height, get this where you can see. Under height, nothing's going to change here, but we're going to select stop bottom. And I'm not going to add any offset because I added that to my overall thickness of the material there, so I'm not going to change anything there. Under passes, I want multiple passes, and I want a maximum of 1/8 of an inch, which is half of the diameter of our bit. And then under linking, there's nothing I need to change because I don't need a ramp in this instance. Right click, simulate, and then click play. What we would expect is 6 passes approximately. That was about right. Exit our simulation. Do one more toolpath with our setup selected. We're going to do our 2D contour. It's already pulled in our tool and the parameters that we already had set for it. Since we're not changing it, now select our outside, and you see now it's going clockwise. That would be correct. And because of the way I'm going to cut this, I don't need tabs on the outside because this is going to just get cleaned up on these 2 sides. And this side will just come loose. That piece will just come loose there, and that'll be fine. So I'm not going to turn tabs on the outside. Our heights, we're going to do like we did on the ID, and we're going to say stop bottom there, and we don't need to add anything there. Our passes, we're going to go to multiple depths and do the same here, 0.125 inches. And then on linking, we don't need to change anything. Now, if we right click our contour 2, and say simulate, and then click play. Again, I'm going to slow it down a little bit so you can see this one. It should be about 6 passes because it's approximately 3/4 of an inch, and we're going 1/8 of an inch at a time. Depth. Apparently, we set something incorrectly, so let's go back out, exit, and let's double click to go back into our contour. You probably saw it when I did it. It's not 0.13, 0.125 inches. This is why I also rely so heavily on the simulate. We're expecting 6 passes. So had we not checked the simulation there, that would have been a lot of passes and a lot of time just sitting there waiting on the machine to run or coming back to the desk to reprogram it. So this is good. All right, exit simulation. I'm going to, if you click and click, I'm going to name this the ID. I'm going to name this the OD. Now we're going to go to actions and do post-process. Under post-process, we're going to give this a name. We don't need to do any splitting. We're good there, but you could split it by tool if you had multiple tools, or by toolpath, even if you wanted to split the toolpaths, but we don't need to do any of that, so no splitting. And now let's click post. Okay, now we'll transfer that NC file that was just created to a flash drive, and I'll see you at the machine next. All right, I did lose my audio for all of my garage work, so I'm going to voice this over as best I can. What you see here is I'm trying to line my dog hole pegs to be able to have access to that corner for my touch probe. I've added some double stick tape into the bottom corners here. What you see on the bottom right of the board will be down on the bottom left in that corner over there. And I've just spaced these off the edge so that the bit doesn't get the glue on it as it cuts through. Here, just lining it up, putting on the touch probe, aligning my 1/4 inch down cut bit here with the touch probe, getting it as close as possible before doing all the touch offs. I would advise that if you're going to use a controller like this, to get you a wired one. This one's a little spotty at best. Zip through this real quick. All right. Turn on our dust collection. And show you a quick little snippet of this before zooming through. Again, we're making 6 passes on the ID, and then we'll do 6 passes on the OD. This is 8 times speed, as noted on the screen. Now, zip through this perimeter for you. Trying to be respectful of your time, but show you the process. And here's your bird's eye view. I like to see these, but not too much of it. Don't want to make anyone motion sick here. And here's the last pass of that. All right, and there's our pieces. Now here I'm just cleaning up where those tabs were, cutting it loose. These tabs make it really easy to hold the piece in so it doesn't come loose and damage your bit or something else, but really easy to cut loose. I'll spare you the sanding, just showing you that I am sanding here. Some hand sanding, again, I'm gonna spare you all of that. Here's our 4 pieces. Now here, this is cut in a couple pieces that is 12 inches wide. This is solid wood that's primered. And now cutting it to 2 inches wide. Sorry, that was 12 inches long. These are the pieces that we're going to glue on and that will mount to the wall. Here I'm cutting my rabbet. Doing the second cut on that rabbet there. Check it, make sure it's close enough fit. I just had this board here I was able to use and mark. That was perfect. Mark all 4 pieces. Marking 1 inch from each end on all of these, and then I'm putting 5 total holes. The center holes are spaced 2.5 inches apart. So 1 inch from each end and 2.5 inches on center in between. Zip through all of these countersunk holes. That's for mounting it to the wall. Again, I'll spare you the sanding. Add a little bit of glue. I'm only showing you the glue on the first piece, and then we'll zip through the whole assembly. Some 18 gauge brad nails. Zip through this. And I'm putting 2 just sheetrock screws into each of these to act as a clamp while the glue dries. Rinse and repeat that 4 times. Last piece here. And throwing a little bit of primer on. I did not get the painted. I forgot to get an image of the painted, except for what you see in these images here where it's mounted on the wall. It is wall color. Well, that concludes this episode. But did we solve my problem? I think yes. First, we were able to remove the table that didn't fit the space anymore. We were able to do it in a way that utilized brackets that mount to the wall, that remove the need for legs, so we don't have things to sweep around outside of moving the chairs to sweep. So that was a success. So what worked better than expected? Well, I didn't know what to expect with this brand new wall. This was built with metal studs, so I had never attached anything like this to metal studs, so I didn't know what to expect. So I probably went a little overboard. I had 5 screws in each of the 3 brackets that were mounted to the wall. It was a success. It held, it did better than I expected. I didn't know what to expect with metal studs. What didn't work? Well, you just witnessed that. My microphone in the garage didn't work. I tried something different and my sound and my video were not connected, so I just did a voiceover. You witnessed it. So that didn't work. What would I do different? What would I do different is on the machine here is when I was cutting, and you witnessed that as well, is 100 inches a minute and that plywood was just creepingly slow. We could have easily doubled that, if not even tripled it. So one thing I will do different next time is for plywood, and I'll change that setting for my bit in Fusion, but I will double that speed to 200 inches a minute. I'll probably leave the plunge alone because we're not losing a lot of time in plunge in something like this. So that is the one thing that I would do differently in all of this. So thank you again for joining me for this episode. I am still learning. I'm still learning what I'm doing in the garage. I'm still learning what I'm doing for being able to capture video and audio and all the things that come along with that, moving the camera. So I'm gonna not belabor the topic except to say my objective here is to build smarter through active learning, to refine through application, and to iterate through continuous improvement. So join me again next time as we continue to improve. Thank you for joining.